On January 30, 2026, Anthropic pushed a plugin to GitHub. Markdown files, structured prompts, basic legal workflow logic. 5 days later, $285 billion in enterprise software market cap was gone. Thomson Reuters dropped 16%. LegalZoom cratered 20%. RELX fell 14%. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 closed red. Morgan Stanley called it a sign of intensifying competition, all from a Markdown file. But here's what almost nobody is saying clearly enough. The Markdown file didn't kill anything. It just made visible what was already cracking underneath. The per-seat licensing model, the financial bedrock enterprise software has been built on for 20 years, was already failing. When AI does the work, seats become irrelevant. When one agent can do the research that previously required 10 paralegals with 10 separate Westlaw logins, Thomson Reuters doesn't lose the value of their data, they lose 9 seats of revenue. The Markdown file didn't start the fire. It just showed everyone the building was already burning. Jensen said the notion that software is being replaced by AI is the most illogical thing in the world. He's not wrong about the product. AI runs on software. Most agents means more infrastructure, but the argument isn't that the world needs less software, it's that the world no longer needs to pay for it the way it currently pays. Jensen is defending the product. The market is attacking the pricing model. Confusing those two is how incumbents lose transitions they should have survived. For the last 18 months, the playbook was simple. Salesforce added Einstein Copilot. Adobe bolted on Firefly. ServiceNow stuck a chatbot in the sidebar. Same product, same UI, same per-seat pricing. Just an AI-powered badge in the corner. Bolt AI onto existing product and pray the market doesn't look too closely. For a while, it worked. Stock prices held. Earning call mentioned AI 47 times. But bolting on doesn't change the architecture. It doesn't change the economics. It doesn't change who is actually doing the work. It's cosmetic surgery on a structural problem. And the Markdown file ripped the band-aid off. If 200 lines of structured prompts can approximate a core enterprise workflow, then the chatbot wasn't the moat. The UI wasn't the moat. The per-seat wrapper was never the moat. So what was? You can vibe code a legal contract review tool in a weekend. The Markdown file basically proved it. But nobody is vibe coding what actually makes enterprise softwares sticky. Thomson Reuters case law database, decades of structured proprietary legal data, Salesforce customer relationship graph, years of organizational knowledge. You don't replicate that in an afternoon. And here's the deeper thing. Enterprise buy Salesforce even when better CRMs exist. Because when something breaks at 2 a.m. the night before the board meeting, there's a phone number to call. There's a contract, an SLA, a legal liability, a team that shows up. That accountability layer is enormously valuable. Strip away the packaging and 3 things really survive. The data, proprietary, accumulated, irreplaceable. The accountability, the wringable neck. If this breaks, someone answers for it. The workflow logic, the institutional memory of how work actually gets done. Not the wrapper, not the seats, the intelligence underneath. Everybody's talking about what this means for Wall Street, for enterprise. Nobody's talking about what this means for you. If you're an operator running AI in production, if you're shipping workflows to clients, if you're hardening your stack to go enterprise ready, the same structural crack, the same bolt-on and pray dynamic, the same confusion about what's actually valuable is already in your operations, and the same repricing is coming. Now, while everybody watched the stock prices, a quieter story broke. KPMG pressured their auditor to cut fees. Grant Thornton resisted. Expert human judgment. KPMG's response, per the Financial Times: lower your prices or we'll find a new auditor. Fees dropped from $416K to $357K, 14%. The stock sell-off was a market event. It could reverse. The KPMG negotiation is an operating event, a real company using AI's existence as leverage to extract a real price cut. They didn't automate the auditor. They used the fact that everyone knows how these tasks can be done cheaper as a weapon at the table. Your clients will do the same thing to you. Why am I paying for 10 hours when AI compressed it to 1? The cascade doesn't require anyone to deploy AI. It just requires buyers to say, the world changed. Let's talk about your rates. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, I already feel this pressure, how do I actually get ahead of it? Stay with me. I'll show you exactly what to do about it in a minute. But first, let me show you why most operators are making the same mistake Enterprise just got punished for. Just last week in our workforce design lab, an operator mentioned, I've got a bunch of one-off tools that I vibe coded, automations running across clients, but nothing works in harmony. Solid MVPs, but no shared memory. No version control, no way to prove what ran or why. Stack worked for client A, cloned it for client B. Something subtle changed. Different output every week, 6 versions of the same workflow. Nobody knows which is the source. That's clone chaos. Prompts mutate, versions float, model updates, break behavior without warning. If your system depends on the perfect prompt, manual babysitting, and hope, you didn't build infrastructure. You built a vibe, and vibes don't compound. Enterprise spent 20 years packaging data and accountability inside a per-seat UI wrapper. When intelligence got cheap, the wrapper died, the stuff underneath survived. Operators are doing the same thing, packaging automations inside shiny dashboards, charging for the presentation layer. So when any vibe coder can spin up a UI in an afternoon, the packaging is a race to the bottom. So what is the value? Not the dashboard, not the automation flow, what persists when the task is done, what improves when you're not watching, who answers when it breaks at 3 a.m. If identity, memory, skills, and proof aren't bound together, you don't have a digital employee, you have prompts dressed up in a nice interface. The operators who survive this repricing won't have the prettiest dashboard. They'll have something their clients can't vibe code in a weekend. Something with identity, a persistent entity, not a session that resets. Something with memory, intelligence that compounds, not a prompt that forgets. Something with proof. When your client asks, what happened, you have the answer. That's the ringable neck for operators. And something with skills, versioned, portable, upgradable. If a client switches from Claude to GPT, the worker still functions. If they change CRM, the worker adapts. If they want to export it, they can. That's worker IP. If you're thinking, how do I convert what I already have into something that actually holds? That's actually what we built. We convert one fragile automation into one portable digital worker with identity, memory, skills, and proof. A worker asset you can install across clients, upgrade over time, and actually own. Link is going to be in the description. For those of you still here, let me go deeper. The dominant narrative right now is build autonomous agents, give them tools, let them run, let them figure it out. That sounds great in a demo, but it falls apart in production. Because autonomous agents reset every conversation. They can't prove who did what, they can't explain their decisions when the CFO asks why, and they can't get smarter over time. That's the chatbot graveyard. Thousands of AI automations that worked beautifully in demos and died quietly in production. Not because the technology failed, because you shipped actions without ownership. The shift isn't better prompts, It's not more autonomy. It's from autonomous agents to digital employees. An agent executes a task and disappears. A digital employee shows up tomorrow, smarter than it was today. It has an identity your client can audit, memory that compounds across sessions, skills you can version, upgrade, and port across clients, and a proof layer that answers what happened before anyone has to ask. That's what replaces the old SaaS economy. Not seats, not wrappers, not chatbot badges. Workers your client can trust, workers you can actually own. The operators who build this, who can walk into a business and say, here's who your workers are, here's what they learned, here's what they did, and here's how we prove it. Those are the ones who survive the repricing because they're not selling a wrapper, they're selling something that compounds. The Markdown File compressed the transition everyone expected to take 5 years into a 48-hour repricing event. Enterprise spent 18 months bolting on chatbots the market called the bluff. Now, the smart ones are rebuilding around what was already valuable. The same reckoning is coming for operators. The question isn't which model you picked. It isn't how clever your prompts are. It's what did you build that still works when the vendor changes terms, the model updates, and your client asks you to prove it.